Nikolai explains the rules and details of the prison break competition between Dazai and Fyodor. Each hall has dozens of cells, and a key is needed to pass each. The walls are impossible to break through, and there is no error allowed for the keys to pass. The elevators are the only way to go above, but those also need pretty much a full body scan to operate. Each floor has guards that shoot the intruder on sight. If not, then the doors of the cells close, and the cell with the intruder is filled with dense and toxic water. Instead of being scared or thoughtful, the two guys seem to be in a dreamy state, picturing the other die. Generosity seeps inside Nikolai after his brutal plan, so he allows them to choose one present from his list of items. The items include a radio, allowing them to know where the guards are, a security card for the clearance of top-level doors, coin bombs, and lastly a satellite phone that will help them contact an outsider once on the fourth floor. Fyodor chooses the security card and surprisingly enough, Dazai chooses the silent companion of Nikolai, Sigma. Kota is worried as all the exits of the airport are blocked, and they have nowhere to run while her useless vampire companion wants to dig a hole and sleep in it for hundreds of years. Bram suddenly warns her to run, but by the time Kota comprehends his sudden warning, a security guard vampire finds them. Sigma questions Dazai about what he has up his sleeve, but Dazai is just enjoying being out of the small cell he was locked in. Sigma starts to get infuriated about him being so relaxed, but Dazai is making Sigma dance with him, not giving him care about either of their lives. Nikolai is interested in what Fyodor's plan is, as instead of moving, he is just sitting in the same place. Kota is about to get harmed, but Brahm helps her escape one vampire. As soon as she comes out of her hiding, she is surrounded by a bunch of vampires, but she isn't willing to leave Bram and save herself. As she panics about what to do, she is saved by Kenji on the orders of Rampo. Dazai, on the other hand, is still dancing while Sigma seems to be getting tired of him. Dazai then decides to take a tour of the staff pantry to get some good food. Sigma finally loses hope in Dazai and decides to go on his own, not wanting to lose to Fyodor. 5 days ago, Nikolai saved Sigma and asked him to expose the true ability of Fyodor and kill him, or he would never find a peaceful home. Not wanting to be controlled by anyone anymore, Sigma wants to win this and find his home. Dazai knows what he is thinking and amusedly announces he will take him out alive. Sudden chaos alarms everyone of an intruder, while the intruder defeats the strongest of prison guards. The guards reach where Fyodor and Nikolai are. Nikolai escapes while Fyodor smiles, surrendering. Before the guards could come near Fyodor, they were attacked. Dazai sees the dents in the walls and floor and understands who the intruder is. If not, then a defeated guard warns others of the intruder who manipulates gravity, Nakahara Chuya. Kenji tosses away all the vampires and tells Kota that after noticing the sudden chaos and lockdown at the airport, Ranpo figures they need to rescue someone from Fukuchi. Noticing his attire, Brahm casually asks if he is willing to work on his farm. Kota is unamused at his lack of understanding over the intensity of the situation, but she is surprised when Kenji politely declines to share that he works on his farm while being a detective agency member on the side. Kota finds his choice of a side gig a little questionable. Ranpo had told Atsushi that whoever finds the girl and Bram first will be the winner and, in this case, his being a fast runner is highly significant. Atsushi runs through the airport when he finds Kota crying alone. He asks what is wrong with her, but she tells him she found the important someone she lost. Atsushi questioned who it was, only to get strangled by none other than Teruko, who had disguised herself as Kota. Kenji asks Kota to run away without him, as he is not sure if he can fight a hunting dog. Techo asks him where Wono is, while Kenji is unaware of who Wono is. Polite Kenji offers to help Techo find Wuno. Techo is a little surprised and is glad to have that help. After a moment of silence between the two, Techo realizes he wasn't looking for help but blaming detective agency for Wono being missing. Techo thinks they are behind Juno being taken by a vampire as Kenji let the leader of vampires flee a moment ago. Kenji smiles and tries to explain the reason behind it, but is attacked by Techo. Teruko has overpowered Atsushi, so he tries to take out his phone. She snatches it thinking he's about to call for help, but is shocked to see a message video of Tachihara for her. The video states the detective agency is innocent. Teruko calls it a fake video until she hears Tachihara mention him dying in line of duty an exhilarating picture, a statement that the two have shared before. She agrees to cooperate with them on the condition of meeting Rampo. Even though he knows it is dangerous, Atsushi is also aware that convincing Teruko means having hunting dogs on their side. He goes on to call Rampo from one of the phone booths while Teruko grins behind, still not revealing if she believes them or not. An intense fight continues between Techo and Kenji, but Techo is not ready to lose against a detective agency member. With one strong blow, he has Kenji injured and defeated pretty badly. Atsushi sets up a meetup with Rampo, so Teruko lands on his back asking him to take her there. Even though not very fond of her, he reluctantly complies with her wanting her and the rest of the hunting dogs on their side. Teruko agrees to share this with Techu while mentioning Wuno being missing. Atsushi responds to it by discussing how Rampo deduced Wuno would be defeated by a vampire, but something suddenly clicks in his mind. He realizes that everyone thinks Wuno was defeated by the detective agency, so Teruko would have attacked him no matter what. But she did not. Teruko jumps down his back as she knows Atsushi has started to realize she does not believe them. She attacks Atsushi before he can defend himself. Techu beats up Kenji mercilessly. He questions Kenji on the whereabouts of Wuno when they are interrupted by the radio. Teruko mentions capturing Atsushi and intending to torture him into revealing their plan. Techu pities Atsushi, not realizing the opponent in his hands is getting furious at the mention of torture. In mere moments, Kenji turns into a dark, hypnotized robot who keeps on repeating he has to help. Within a second, Techo finds himself outside the airport slammed into a truck. Atsushi had asked Kunikita why a random person in the airport feared Kenji for no apparent reason. Kunikita reveals it is an unwritten law in Yokohama to never anger Kenji. There was once a mudslide in the Tohoku village, one of the worst kinds, but the village was untouched. On investigation, it was revealed that a young boy diverted the mudslide by gouging out the ground with bare hands. Kenji has no memory of how it happened. All he knows is that his childhood friend was buried alive in that mud. So, his special ability grants him the power of the forces of Mother Nature. Kenji holds it in pretty well until he gets really angry or senses danger. And when that happens, it is impossible to stop him with bare hands. Techu, who is currently facing that wrath, is slammed into a wall, and as Kenji slowly approaches him, he is ready to face his death. He sidelined his duty as a hunting dog to look for Wuno and ended up misjudging a lot of stuff. As he is ready to die, Kenji announces he will help find Wuno. The farm boy has returned to his usual self since he does not find a reason to be angry at him anymore. Techu is surprised yet glad at this and takes up his offer this time. After this truce, the two fall to the ground wanting to rest a bit and introduce each other. Sigma seems to be worried about facing Shuya and Fyodor together, but Dazai is not fazed at all. He mentions an angel supporting him, so Sigma finally confronts who this outsider is and how is he communicating with him. Dazai mentions he has been sending encoded messages to Ango by manipulating his heartbeat, which is decoded by Ango to do what he wants. Sigma understands it, but also figures this can only be applied to send messages and not receive them. How does Dazai receive messages? Dazai, being in the playful mood he is, tells Sigma to guess the answer as the correct answer would prove Sigma better than Fyodor. Sigma is taken away by this thought for a while until the realization hits him that they are wasting time as the other two are on their way out. Dazai calms him down, stating they don't need to break out first if they kill Fyodor before the time's up. After crossing one door with ease, Fyodor gets the code wrong on the next. The cell is sealed and prepared to be filled with water, and even though Chuya tries hard to break through the walls and the doors, they are strong enough to not be affected by his strength. As the cell floods, Dazai and Sigma walk toward the central surveillance room. Sigma is not very fond of the idea of breaking into that room, but Dazai casually enters the passcode and ignores Sigma's rant. His fear of getting attacked by guards disappears as he sees all the guards already knocked out. This riddle seems to be unsolvable by Sina as to how Dazai knocked them out without being there before. Dazai winks at Sigma, mentioning he stopped time to do that. Sigma does not seem to understand this, so Dazai takes the job of doing so. Since they are not in an ordinary prison, the prisoners are also not ordinary. Among one of them is the most gifted thief of all time. This woman can stop time for a little while, and this ability can spread up to a few kilometers radius around her. Ango made a deal with her to reduce her sentence if she stopped time every morning whenever Ango told her to. And since, with time, consciousness is also paused, nobody realizes it happened except for the one having nullifying ability. Dazai used that time to take over the security room and change the passcodes so Fyodor could enter the old one. The frequency and time of this happening is a code in itself for Dazai, which is the way he received messages from the outside. Using the cameras and mic, Dazai decides to say his final goodbye to Fyodor and Chuya, as he had deemed that Fyodor's ability has not been of the kind to help him escape from this trap. Dramatic Dazai tries to act all emotional about having times when he and Chuya understood each other, which never happened. Atsushi wakes up as he hears someone calling his name in his thoughts, but finds himself tied to a bed in a room. Koda takes Bram into a storage truck in the parking lot and hides behind it. She deduces that no one will check the truck in detail in this chaos, and they might get to escape this way. She then asks Bram about whether the sword hurts or not. Bram shares that this sword was once a human before. A gifted human used their mental ability to turn into this sword when dying, and now this sword carries the ability in itself to blend in with the flesh it touches. When the sword was stabbed into his body, it started making connections with his brain, nervous system, and flesh, taking up his will to control his skills. The person who wields the sword has the mark of a seal on their hands, and Fukuchi happens to be that person. Koda feels a little sad for Bram, as he thinks it must be hurtful, which makes Bram recall being stabbed with it once before too. This seems to bring some sad memories for Bram. The two then get into a banter as if they are best friends until the whole upper portion of the truck is beautifully sliced by a certain black coat. Bram tells Koda to run for her life as her face turns terrified of Vampire Akutagawa standing furious in front of them.